All right, boys and girls, for today, you just need pencil eraser and your math book. All right, lesson 10.7, problem solving, represent data. That just means we're going to be learning things, figuring things out, answering questions based on the data that we see in charts and graphs. So Brad sees many animals at the park. How can you find how many animals Brad sees? Now, this is one of those ones that just seems so easy and obvious, you don't even think about it. But we want to try to think through some of these easy ones so that when we get to harder ones, we kind of know how to approach the problem. So unlocking it, this is the part where you kind of don't need to do it because it's so easy, but practicing these unlocking skills with easy ones makes it easier to do it with hard ones. What do I need to find? How many animals Brad sees, right? That's so obvious you can't hardly even imagine it sometimes. What information do I need to use? The number of rabbits, birds, and deer in the picture, right? We haven't actually counted that up yet. Show how to solve the problem animals Brad sees. Now take a look here. We're not going to be doing tally marks in this, are we? Because it has these lines here. Now, we also know we're not doing a pictograph with this, because if we were doing a pictograph, down here, this box would have a 1 under the box, not under the line. And the 2 would be a 2 under the box, not under the line. Because it's under the line, that tells us we're making a bar graph. So go back up here. We're going to check rabbits and birds, and I'm going to let you do deer on your own. So rabbits, 1, 2, 3, and birds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you know how to make these bar graphs here. We want to get it filled in nice and solid to 3 so it's easy to see. Birds, we counted 6, and I kind of broke the thing that I said yesterday, didn't I? Where we don't want to try to do too much all at once. We want to keep track of it as we go. I didn't do that very well, did I? We should have done those rabbits, and then we should have counted up the birds and checked that off. All right. Even though those are simple, small numbers that are easy to know, it's good to build habits when they're easier. And then deer, you guys can check that and write it. So number of animals, right? We can see rabbits right here, 3. Birds right here, 6. You can put in how many deer there are, and then you guys can add that up. 3 plus 6 plus however many deer. And then take a look here at this bar graph. Again, when we're looking up here, if somebody said, what's there the most of? It would be really easy to look and see these 2 great big deer, and it looks like deer are what there's the most of because they're big. So when we have a bar graph, that makes it a lot easier to see the obvious thing, that what we actually have the most of is the birds. Even though the rabbits and deer are bigger and they look like more, what we actually have more of are the birds. All right, next page. Now on these, we don't have a purple box to start out with because we're just solving problems. We're going to keep in mind, what do I need to find? What's the question I need to answer? And then what information do I need to use? What do we need to dig out? Because boys and girls, always in real life, and once you start second grade, sometimes in these problems also, in real life, you get a lot more information than you actually need. So part of the job you have to learn is figuring out what information do I need to pay attention to and track, and what information do I ignore? And the way you really think about that is by going back up to this question, what is it that I actually need to answer? Because a lot of times in life, it's going to throw all kinds of information at you, and your book is going to start doing that next year. You have to really carefully filter out which things I need. Otherwise, people will, add in all sorts of things they don't need to. Jake has 4 more train cars than Ed. Ed has 3 train cars. Ben has 2 fewer train cars than Ed. How many train cars does Jake have? Oh my. All right. So we're going to use a graph to solve it. And you can tell it's going to be a bar graph, right? Because these numbers are right here underneath the lines. And we have a title that tells us our train cars. Down here, it tells us these numbers mean the number of train cars. And over here, we know these names are the names of the children. So the one that we actually know is Ed. Ed has 3 train cars, right? That's the first information that I need to use. What we need to find is actually, how many train cars does Jake have? So let's start with Ed because that's what we actually know. Ed has 3. So go ahead and color in up to this number 3 line here. There we go. Now, how many cars does Jake have? Jake has 4 more train cars than Ed. So let's start out, first of all, making him be equal, right? Here's equal. Now he's going to have 4 more, so let's continue at 4 more spaces, 4 more train cars. 1, 2, 3, 4 more. Now, I know some of you guys just added that up real quick, but remember, we're practicing here what we might do if we had more complex data. So now we can see, how many train cars does Jake have? We've figured that out now, haven't we? He has 7. Boys and girls, Ben has 2 fewer train cars than Ed. Now, we're going to do that because it does say make a graph. But if it didn't say make a graph, we wouldn't even need to do that part, would we? Because that is extra information. We don't actually need that information to be able to answer what we need to find. We'll go ahead and put it in. Here's Ben's. Ed has 2 fewer. Oh, I did that backwards. Oh my goodness. Oh no, I didn't. Okay. Ben has 2 fewer than Ed. So here's Ed's. 2 back, 1 fewer, 2 fewer. Ben has just the 1, but we didn't actually need that information to solve the question, did we? Let's go on to number 2. Marla has 8 dolls. 3 dolls have blue eyes. The rest have brown. How many dolls have brown eyes? Okay, so let's look first of all. What do we need to find? How many dolls have brown eyes? It tells us 3 dolls have blue eyes, so let's put those in. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go ahead and make my bar here a little longer and more solid. And we can tell we're making bar graphs because the numbers are right here underneath the lines. Our lovely graph already has a whole bunch filled in for us, right? It has a title, dolls Maria has. It has a label for what we're looking at here, eye color, and it has a label for what these numbers are down on the bottom, number of dolls. Now, boys and girls, let's look carefully. We want to know how many dolls have brown eyes. Maria has 8 dolls. So let's think about this. In fact, if you're having some trouble figuring this out, you might want to get your counters. I'm going to go ahead and put my fingers. This is the total number of dolls. Some of them have brown eyes and some of them have blue eyes. It told me 3 had blue eyes. So that means the rest of them are going to have brown eyes. So I'm going to put X's in these boxes, counting up the rest of the way to 8, and then I'll turn it into my bar graph. I could get counters if I wanted to, 8 counters and then put 3 of them to the side. I could use my fingers, put up 8 fingers and put 3 of them down to see how many have brown eyes, but I'm going to do it this way for this time. So here's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going to fill in the rest of my graph, right? Because this is not a pictograph where each X means a doll. This is a bar graph. All right. And we know then 5 of them have brown eyes. Now, boys and girls, this says find out about the eye color of your classmates. Write a question you can ask. Well, remember, we're finding out about the eye color. So what question might we ask? We might ask, what color are your, eyes? So boys and girls, ask 10 friends your question and make a tally chart. Now remember, we also need to label this, don't we? So let's put in eye color. Over here, wait a minute. Yeah, all right. So we can put brown, blue. Now, some people have gray eyes and some people have green eyes. I'm going to leave this down here for if you have people that you ask who have that answer, because here's the thing, we don't have 10 friends, you know, at your house. You have some at your house. We're going to talk about this some. We talked about it this morning on camera. So let's see here. I'm going to tell you the eye color in my house. I have blue eyes. So here I'm going to write Mrs. Pitton blue. I'm going to tell you that PJ also has blue eyes. I'm going to tell you that Ben also has blue eyes. Toby has blue eyes. And Seth has blue eyes. So you can put in here, we're doing a tally chart, right? And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all with blue eyes. So we can do a bundle, remember? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the thumb goes across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we're not going to put the totals yet because we're going to talk some on camera. We did this probably already, unless you're looking at this video really early in the morning, collecting eye color. And I've given you some numbers to write down. And then if you don't have 10 yet, you can ask family members. So use the tally chart to make a bar graph. So let's think about this here. Down here, we're going to put our eye colors again. Brown, blue, and I'm going to leave this one down here blank for in case you find someone with green or gray eyes. Over here, it's going to say eye color. Down here, these numbers mean number of people. Then what can we put up here? We could put different eye colors people have. And this is a title, so we capitalize the first letters of important words. Now, you can pause the video if you need to catch up with the writing here. What did you learn from the graph? You could say, the most people I asked had whatever color eyes. The fewest people I asked had this color eye. You could say, nobody I asked had green eyes. There are lots of things you could learn from this graph. Last page, your favorite fruit. Nina asked 20 children this question and made a bar graph, but Nina spilled paint on the graph. Now, boys and girls, this is the first time they're showing you a vertical graph that's up and down instead of side to side. All the other ones you've done, the bars have gone across. These bars go up. So do you see there's still a title, Our Favorite Fruit? The numbers that we're used to seeing across the bottom go up the side now. Number of children. And then here are the titles of the categories that usually we see on the side there across the bottom, kinds of fruit. Now remember, Nina asked 20 people. So let's take a look here. How many children chose grapes? Well, here's our grape bar. We can follow it up to the top. We can see that 9 children chose grapes. Hot problem, how many children chose banana? Do you see that's where the paint all spilled? Well, we know there's 20 altogether. And then we know some of the parts, right? We know apple, we can follow that one up to here. 3. Grapes, we knew was 9. And then we know there's some number that's banana, right? We don't know what this banana number is here. But we can add these up. We can do counting on, right? 9, 10, 11, 12. So then we know that it's 20 people, 12 of them chose grapes or apples, and some other number chose bananas. What could that be? We want to figure out what is 20 with these 12 taken off who chose grapes or apples. What would that leave us with? Now, boys and girls, you should have a whole bunch of paper clips that you could use for answering this question. So that's what I suggest you do. Find your paper clips or find some other way to do it. Some people that I know have done kind of like a 10 frame. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So here we have 20 dots, right? Arranged like in a 10 frame. Well, let's take off the grape ones. There are 9 of those, right? So I can scribble out these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then there are 3 apple ones, so I can scribble out, oh my, and I hope you guys aren't just watching me. I hope you're doing this along with me. 1, 2, 3 for the apple. And then you can look at how many are left. That must be how much there was for banana. You can go ahead and put that answer right there for number 8. Number 9, test prep. Use the graph at the top. How many more children chose grapes than apple? Now, they're not asking us to deal with this paint splotch. And you've done questions like this with bar graphs before, but remember the bars have gone sideways? So we're comparing right here the difference between this bar and this bar. These parts are the same, but here we have a whole bunch more people choosing grapes. How many more was it who chose grapes? And you can see they didn't just put the number. They actually labeled it all the way. So 3 more children chose grapes, 6 more children chose grapes, 9 more children chose grapes, or 12 more children chose grapes. All right, guys, that was kind of long, but not too hard. Remember, we're kind of taking our time with this just to make sure that we're really thinking things through with these simpler problems so that later you're ready for the more complicated ones because your brain already knows how to think about it.